Welcome to this month's Direct Perspective. I am excited to have our guest here this month, Edward Mraz, and he is a Specialty Services Manager at the Arkansas Small Business and Technology Development Center. Eddie, thank you so much for joining me today.
Bree, thanks for having me. I've been looking forward to this little perspective for a little while. And it's interesting. We have an alphabet of a company. It's the Arkansas Small Business and Technology Development Center. I like to tell people it's a chant. So ASTBDC. And essentially what we do, we've been here for 40 years. We have 11 offices across the state of Arkansas. We serve around 2,500 small businesses a year. We're a small business consulting agency that happens to be a nonprofit. And so we develop small businesses and technology. We help commercialize research and technology. So we meet one-on-one with small businesses, anywhere from startup to scale up. And I have the privilege to come alongside this organization and really help them develop new services for our clients. And Marie, you'll know this, but anytime you're developing a new service, there's a lot of projects involved. And so I'm looking forward to kind of walking through that with you today.
Absolutely. And I know we first met when you were over at the chamber. And so you've always been involved in helping businesses thrive and grow. So this, I think, is a great role for you. Part of what we do at Boost is our AIM solution. So analyze, innovate, and manage. And we really focus on outcomes and how do you strengthen a business. In your experience, how do you monitor a business's progress, or what kind of KPIs do you recommend to some of the businesses you work with?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. It definitely depends on the stage of their business, right? If we're talking with an entrepreneur and a startup, those KPIs are going to be a little bit different. One thing that we always tell all of our clients, and our associate state director, I think, has coined this, is nobody comes to our agency for their business to stay the same, right? And we also say that everybody gets a plan. Sometimes that's a really big plan, and sometimes it's a short plan. But within that plan, we're going to talk about, what are the key indicators that what does success look like? And so for some of those businesses, it is top line revenue, right? It's we're going to work on a marketing plan to drive $100,000 more sales this next year. And so then how do we actually get there? For other businesses, the KPI could be growing their email list, right? So now we're looking at subscribers, right? How can we get more subscribers? And then for the startups, their KPI could be getting through the prototype cycle. Okay, so how many iterations do we have to get, or how many discovery conversations do you have to have with potential customers for that prototype? So yeah, the KPIs kind of vary depending on the stage of the business.
I think we see that as well. So it's great to hear someone else that deals with businesses on a regular basis to say that as well. And I think ultimately we always say, pick the KPIs that matter most, and then pick the ones that matter most to you. Because as someone that's leading a business, you have to look at them every day or every week or every month, and you have to be energized by those. So I think you've made some fantastic recommendations. One of the other things that we're big on at Boost is teamwork. We're huge on it internally, but we're big on it with our clients too. What team members do you see, for somebody that is starting up a business or they're kind of in a growth phase, what team members do you see being critical to success in a business?
Man, I love that question. We talk a lot. One of our core values is collaboration, and we talk collaboration internally, but we also talk collaboration externally. And so when you look at, wherever you are in your business, if you're a startup guy, I think there's been some phrases coined that if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And so determining who is going to be on that startup team is extremely important. And so that might look a little bit different than somebody who's building out their business team from going from 2 employees to 10 employees, right? What I would say is either internally or externally, the team members that we're going to recommend that a business is focused on is kind of somewhat the key functions of the business. Somebody needs to be looking over the money, right? And that can be internally or that can be externally. Somebody needs to be deputized for client experience. So who is actually going to be in charge of going out and finding clients, closing them, serving them? Who's actually looking over client experience? The other one is going to be people. Like, who is going to be in charge of attracting the type of people you want, developing those who are inside your organization? I think we've all heard the phrase, well, you know, what if we train our people and they leave? And then you go, well, what if we don't train them and they stay, right? So somebody needs to, whatever scale you are, you need to be focusing on who's in charge of the people. So those are kind of the areas that I see is you know, the numbers, the finances, the people, and the client. And if you can, and those sometimes are, you're the one person show, but you need to make sure that you're focused on that, or you have multiple people internally or externally looking over those key areas of the business.
I think that's a great point that, you know, sometimes you are that one person for all of those. I think to kind of expand on that a little bit, we've actually been recommended for some of our clients to say, look, build an org chart. Right now, you're sitting in every single one of those chairs. So to your point, you build an org chart that has those 3 key focuses. And then eventually you bring people in that take your seat in those chairs and expand your team and grow in that way. So I definitely think those are great areas to focus on. So, okay, you know, kind of one of my shticks is project management. I love project management. It has a lot of great things, but people sometimes don't realize that they're doing project management or that it's even a part of their business because they don't have someone with that title. So we see so many different ways that project management plays a role in a business. How have you seen kind of that come to play in your roles and in your businesses that you've worked with?
Maria, it's such a good question, and we were joking about this before we even got started today, so I'll kind of shed some light on it. I didn't think I was doing project management until I realized I was doing project management, and so it's all over our business, absolutely. And I'll talk about it in 2 ways, primarily. The first way is how we serve our clients, and so when we meet with our clients, we're taking a project focus. So just as I mentioned earlier that everybody gets a plan, sometimes that plan looks differently for each person, right? But everybody gets a plan. And so what we're talking with our clients is, what does the project look like for your business that we can help you with? Where's your business right now? Where do you want it to go? And what does that project look like, right? And what does success look like on the other end? When you get into that, you go, well, who's going to do what? Well, what are the roles of the project? How long is this going to take? What's the timeline of this project, right? So in every consulting engagement that we're operating in, everybody's mini project managers, right? Because we got to move the client from where they are to where they want to go. And that's the whole point of a project. So I like thinking it that way. And then the other side is, I mean, literally what I do every day, and that's create new services and programs to serve our clients. And so when you start getting the brainstorm going and the collaboration going, and you go, okay, what can we do to better serve our clients? And you got 10 ideas, and then you got to start boiling down to, well, what are our clients saying about that? Okay, now let's talk about how we can implement it. Do we have the resources? Do we have the time? Do we have the budget? So then you start kind of framing it up, and then you go, okay, now it's time to really launch this to our clients. When are we going to launch it? Who's going to be a part of that launch? How long is the time frame of that launch going to be? So I kind of feel like every day I go to work and I'm operating off of a different project to launch something new for our clients.
Absolutely. And it's funny because you're spot on that, like, you get to where you're building something and then you start actually planning it and then you start documenting it and you go, I'm doing project management. And I joke to some degree, but I'm also quite serious when I say, if you're thinking about becoming a project manager, you probably already are a project manager. And so, folks ask from time to time, how do I become one? You probably are already one. So And the big part of successful project management is really having that end result in mind. For us, for all of our projects, we want to be systematic and sustainable. What do you consider kind of the recipe to success for some of your projects?
Yeah, so I kind of think of myself as a new rookie project manager, if you will, because I was that person, Marie, that you're saying is if you think you're going to be doing project management, you probably already are. And so I'm kind of like learning what successful projects are because some of them haven't been as successful. And you go, well, what went wrong there? And so when I look at kind of developing a successful project, and I'm doing it right now, we're looking to launch something new for our clients later this year. The first thing I'm trying to identify, like you said, is do we have a mission or a focus of what we're trying to accomplish? Like, why are we actually going to go through with this project? So I'm definitely thinking build with the end in mind. The second thing I need, and this is where I have to bring some team members in to help me understand, because I'm just this big vision, like let's run and go do it. Do we have the resources to actually do the project? Well, you can only answer that question if you actually take a look and understand what it's going to take, right? So right now we're kind of going through, do we have the staff to do it? Do we have the budget to do it? Do we have the expertise to do it? And then I think a realistic timeline, and this is also where, this is a blind spot for me that I realized last year doing some project management, is I'm like, hey, we could do this like next week, right? Or we could roll this out in 2 weeks. And so I had a meeting with a team member a couple of days ago around this project that we're looking to launch. And I thought we could launch it in May. And they're like, we really need to launch it in kind of June. And so, having that time frame. So we talked about end goal in mind. What's the purpose of going on this endeavor? What's the end result going to be? What KPIs are going to determine that success? The next thing you want to look at, in my mind, is what are the resources it's going to take? Do we have those? Like, can we be honest with ourselves to say we have those? The next thing is timeline. What timeframes are we looking at? And then the last thing that you mentioned just a second ago, and I've had to learn the hard way, is documenting, right? Don't go through this entire project and wake up on the other side and go, man, that was great. What did we do? Right? You need to document and like you said, build it into a systematic kind of process. So when you go on this endeavor again, it's well documented and you're not starting from scratch.
Yeah, you're spot on. I think so. It's funny because one of our favorite phrases is, if you didn't document it, it didn't happen. And so it's true. It's one of those steps that feels like it's excessive in some cases, to take those notes and all of that. But I think at the end of the day, you go to the very last step of project management, typically, which is after the project, the lessons learned phase. And if you've got it all written down, you can go back and kind of rehash, ooh, we did this really well, or we should probably skip that step next time. So little things like that ultimately, add up. And I think they're great tips and tricks to build along the way. So, okay, my favorite question, I think, for all of our guests is, do you have a daily motto or an activity that keeps you energized?
Oh, that's a good question. I've kind of created a little mini mantra for myself when I joined the organization, because again, it's something I'm super passionate about. I really believe that small businesses are the backbone of our economy, but I also believe that they need help and that they don't have to go about it alone. And that's exactly what we do. We come alongside a small business owner and help them. And so my mini mantra every day is, we help small businesses win. And so I come to work every day to figure out, how are we helping small businesses win? Are there other areas that we can help them win? And winning looks a lot different for different people, right? Some people winning is creating a multi-million-dollar company. Some people winning is putting food on the table for their family. Some people winning is creating jobs for the local economy. And so whatever that winning looks like for our client, that's what I kind of tell myself every day is we help small businesses win.
I love that. And I think, to your point, you're bringing their vision to life, and that's how they win. And I love that a lot. So I think if anybody that's watching this is either thinking about building a small business or has a small business and is growing, or just looking to really optimize what you're doing, reach out to Eddie and the team over at the ASTBDC. And definitely we'll put his contact information into the description for this video, and reach out, get to know his team, get to know what they're doing, because it is a fantastic resource. And I personally know that Eddie will have your mission and your vision at heart. So Eddie, thank you so much for joining me today. And
yeah, thank you so much for having me. I've enjoyed it. And, you know, I love watching you as a small business owner do exactly what we're talking about, you know, get in the marketplace and win and help other companies win, particularly through the services you guys offer. So Marie, thanks so much for the opportunity.
Thanks, Eddie.